Good evening. You're watching the Cheese Room podcast. Fashionably late as ever. You can put that down to me pouring another gin just before we go on air, or HG sellotaping something to his wall, whatever suits. Joining us tonight, I have got all the way from the South Coast, Mrs. HG's favourite bit of crumpet, John. How are you, sir?
Good evening. Happy Christmas. Did we all get the presents we wanted?
Well,
What'd you get, HG? What'd you get, caller?
Go on, HG.
What did I get?
Yeah.
The only present I care about is Antonio Conte as manager of Spurs. Actually, for Christmas, what did I buy myself? Chocolates. I mean, I don't really care about presents, so I didn't really get anything. My mum, who is on here, so I should say this, my mum has offered to pay for me to come over and watch the Spurs at some point. So I don't know when that'll be, but that's nice. So I did get that.
Nice. That is a good Christmas present. Shout out Lindy Millard. That is
talking of your mum, she's just commented on my comment. I think if I'm Mother HG, he has decorated that little bit of bunting behind him with sellotape. That's what he was doing.
That's why we were late. That piece of bunting.
Pretty much. That's why we're late. Apologies, everyone, but it's a bit better than.
And say it was worth it. Evening HG, how are you? Complete with bunting.
The bunting has made everything better, so I'm good. And I realised that I actually had something Spurs that might go on the wall because I don't really have too much Spurs.
Not that flag that I sent you.
Well, the flag you sent me is so big it would cover everything behind me, and then my face is in front of the one thing you'd want to see. So you basically maybe I should put it like in front of my face. I think a lot of people would prefer that.
Well, there you go. Another person who's definitely not from ISIS, but he is from Australia, which, is also pretty unforgivable. Dave-O, how are you this evening? Dave-O, I've just offended a continent.
Did you say I'm not from ISIS?
Yeah.
Right.
ISIS. He's from Australia.
I'd be the first Jewish member of ISIS. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Anyway, well, this is my Christmas present from the boys, Oasis T-shirt, plus a bottle of gin, which, at 8:11 in the morning, getting stuck into it right now. Rock and roll.
And when are you back to work, Dave? Just remind me.
It's August here. It's the equivalent of August. I'm not back to work till the 17th or 18th of January. It's August, all right?
Dave, I've got a really important question to ask you.
What?
We're not doing very well in the Ashes.
Mm.
Is that Levy's fault too? Is that an ENIC issue?
Yes, it is definitely Levy's fault because if he needs to organise a few more positive COVID tests in the England squad, and then we'll be all right for the rest of the series.
Thanks very much. And I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. I've had lots of nice Christmas presents. FIFA 22. If you want to take on the caller, drop your username in the chat and I'll smash you up proper. The only smashing up you need to do proper is smashing that like button proper. As we go through the show, please leave your comments. Please leave your super chats. Please leave us what's on your mind and comments as we go through this show. It's great to have you all on board tonight, especially our channel members, of which there are some in the chat already got nearly 30 people watching. I'm sure it's going to fly up during the broadcast. Please do hit the like button. That really helps us out. And if you have some time, check out our new Conte cam footage. We've got, I think, 3 or 4 videos up from the weekend's action. Conte acted like a lunatic on the touchline. So do check that out all over on our YouTube channel. And if you're not already, consider being a channel member and supporting us a little bit more. It all helps. Tonight we review the second Palace intrusion of the week. Look forward to Southampton away, transfer rumours, and take all your questions. So stay with us for the next 90 minutes or so. It will be a far more enjoyable 90 minutes than Manchester United and Newcastle. Although, to be honest, so far, that is going quite well. I've got it on in the background, and I can confirm Newcastle are still 1-0 up on 51 minutes, which is pretty awesome. Right, let's talk Palace. HG, the lineup with Skip and PEH Højbjerg in the pivot. Is that not a bit too much for Palace?
Why do I always get the lineup questions?
You're the geek. You're
because everybody knows how I feel about this. Like Højbjerg and Skip are fine. It's a bit overly defensive, if you ask me. But I guess, with the three defenders behind them not being the greatest, then I can see it. But look, I don't mind the two of them. We're obviously winning, so it's good. But at some point, I'd like to see us try something a little bit different.
We had Ndembele against Liverpool.
Well, yeah, Ndombele, Winks and Dele was the midfield that day, but that's because Højbjerg and Skip were both COVID influenced.
Well,
yeah, it did. I think it did work okay. I don't know. When I see Skip and Højbjerg in there, I get nervous that it's just going to be too defensive. As it was enough to beat Palace. The most interesting thing about the 11 was the fact that Tanganga started ahead of Davies. I can only assume Davies was being rested, but yeah, it was pretty much this is Conte's best team right now.
And John, do you think Skip is now the senior partner in the civil partnership we've got in midfield of Skip and Højbjerg? Is he the alpha?
Don't stress he's in the civil partnership. Shan will be gutted.
I'm sure.
I personally think he's definitely number one pick in midfield. He has to be, surely. He's way ahead of what PEH is offering us. He's a dynamic man, not duo, man.
He certainly seems to have more forward thrust / momentum about him than Højbjerg. But
he's more mobile, isn't he, than Højbjerg? I think that's it. Like when you've got those two in midfield, you do want a bit of mobility to at least kind of join up and take the ball with you. Actually run with the ball. Højbjerg has never really done that. Doesn't seem comfortable doing it. Whereas Skip is just a bit more comfortable on the ball.
Yeah, but go on, Dave.
Yeah, but Højbjerg's much better at doing to the crowd than Skip. I mean, that's not part of Skip's game.
Yeah.
Maybe Højbjerg's actually working at Heathrow Airport and he's bringing a plane in at the same time. Just saying.
He thinks he's Hulk Hogan or something, running around dropping leg drops on everyone. I'm surprised he hasn't done that yet, Like, he's away from it. Yeah, old school wrestling fans. Anyone younger
It'd be great if we got Conte doing that,
wouldn't it? Get that. Hey?
It'd be great if we got Conte doing that.
On Conte cam. It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing.
I think Skip's a better passer, in my opinion. And he tackles more and he passes forward more and runs more. So generally all round I think he's better now.
Yeah. So Craig's saying for two defensive midfielders, they get forward a hell of a lot. You certainly need two midfielders that can defend in that system when you've got your centre backs overlapping on the flanks. I think there's some truth in that. You do need defensively solid players, but you need box-to-box midfielders. I think that's the point, isn't it, in that system? For me, Højbjerg is less box-to-box than Skip. Would you say that's fair, HG?
Well, I think Højbjerg scores more. So, like the thing with Højbjerg is that we saw for Denmark in the Euros that he needed Delaney next to him to kind of be the guy who did most of the defensive work. When he was at Southampton a couple of years ago, it was Romeo that was usually alongside him. So I think Højbjerg may well be better with someone like Skip next to him, someone who can also share that defensive workload. Otherwise, Højbjerg is going to be the type of defensive midfielder that can sit, but I don't think it's his best game. I think he wants to win the ball, he wants to break up play, and then he wants to get forward in support. I think Skip might be better at doing that, but I'm not sure it's Skip's natural game either. Like he can, but I think Skip is, as John said, probably more rounded than Højbjerg and is comfortable doing whatever. But if you ask Højbjerg to pass the ball more than 20 yards, unless he's got a few seconds to think about it, he's not going to do it. And I think Skip is more adept at keeping the ball moving in midfield and looking for a simple pass at least that can continue play further.
Well, Dave, no Tanganga, Tanganga in, Davis out, I should say. I've had my COVID jab today. I'm not 100%. I'm a little bit. Davis dropped or Tanganga in. I mean, it's a bit of a strange one, that, I thought, because Tanganga last time we played Palace got obliterated, sent off. I mean, it was lovely to see it the other way around. Don't get me wrong, this time out with Zaha. But it was a bit of a strange one for me, dropping Davis. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, in the words of Kieran Trippier, I'd put a lump on Davis getting the first goal. And he didn't start or play. And the most handsome man on YouTube said I would get my money back, which I doubted. But the good news for everyone, the bet was void. So I get my money back. So I was surprised about that. I'm presuming he's rotating Davis for the Southampton game. But the thing about Jaffa, he needs to be a lot better on the ball in terms of his distribution. I thought that when he came on the sub at the last game. So he did okay. I thought against Palace at their place, he had a good game at centre-back until we obviously had the brain fade with Zaha. So it was good. Maybe it's a good little bit of subtle motivation to have him up against Palace to avenge the Zaha incident from last time.
So lay the ghosts to rest. Maybe, Dave. Maybe.
Very, very poetic, that, yes.
Well, we had lots of chances, John, it seemed to me. I mean, even before we had we were playing against 10 men, I thought we were creating loads of chances, and that's been a theme, isn't it? The last few games we've really opened teams up. It's promising, isn't it? Sonny missed a couple. Well, had a good shot saved, and went close the second time. Moura had a glancing header that really should have been a goal, and Skip had a shot that was worthy of Musa Sissoko at his finest. So it's great to see us creating so much, isn't it?
I mean, I have to hold my hands up. I didn't see all the game live. I was watching it on my phone because I was at Petworth Park in West Sussex with the family because my daughter was finally allowed out from her COVID isolation. So I was sort of watching it with one earbud in.
To be honest.
Yeah, with one earbud in. I thought we were a bit flat for the first until we scored. Actually, I know Sonny had that good chance with left foot. Lucas should have scored with that header, which is ironic because he scored. It was probably a harder header that he scored.
Yeah.
But yeah, fortunately, the 2 quick goals. I think Palace were fairly solid up until then. We were a bit flat. Maybe it's because we had the 2 in midfield and they had the 3. I'm not sure. And then obviously Zaha did what Tanganga did at Selhurst and had a bit of, like we said, a brain fart in 5 minutes. But we're making certainly more chances now than we were under the previous bearded fella.
Who?
You've forgotten already, have you? Or is it that you can't pronounce his foreign name, caller? Is that what it is?
What are you trying to say, HG? Of course I can. Nuno
Santo.
Gone.
That's quite a good truth question, actually. How many Spurs managers have had beards over the years?
Probably
Poch had a beard most of the time, didn't he?
Not
most of it, no.
Yeah,
I could think of one.
Who?
Matthew Corbett, AVB.
Is this going to lead into a rant about you and flipping, Enoch again?
AVB was the reason Davo went to Australia.
Let's not go there.
No. I was firmly ensconced in Australia before.
Let's move on, Dave. I'm going to ask you about Monsieur Kane. Is all forgiven now? I mean, he took his goal well, didn't he? He's on the score sheet again. And the crowd was singing "He's one of our own," which I read on Twitter was the nicest thing about that game. The fact that the crowd were loving Kane again. Is all that forgotten now?
Yeah. I mean, look, as I said before his final season, Luka Modric wanted to go to Chelsea, and they didn't let him go. He scored that worldie against Liverpool when we spanked them 4-0 or 4-1, and the crowd went nuts, and off we go. And it's the nature of the beast. I thought, and it might have been my television at 3:00 in the morning or whenever it was, that when he got subbed at 60 minutes, I thought that it was a bit muted, his reception. But that might be my television. So his goal, I thought, was trademark Kane.
What you might have muted your television?
Yeah, I might have muted the television and sat on my balcony having a seniors moment. So I thought that Kane's goal was trademark Kane, instinctive through ball, bang, straight in. So he's back to doing what he's doing. Just pray to whatever higher being you believe in or don't believe in that he doesn't get injured.
Honestly, Dave, I don't think it was muted. I think people in the stadium were just shocked that Kane got subbed off when we were 2 goals up. That doesn't happen. How often has that happened? I mean, Kane usually plays every single minute possible, and yet here we are with the manager saying no. I'm sure it was to protect Kane more than to give other players minutes, but I can't remember the last time Kane went off that early in a Premier League game.
Mr. Diver has commented, about this.
Well, he got a standing ovation. Well, he certainly did in a tunnel club. Steve even put his glass of champagne down long enough to use both hands. So yeah.
No. He didn't put it down. He put it on the waiter's head to look after whilst he applauded.
I thought the waiter was holding his lobster. Shout out, Steve. Great to have you in the chat, all the way from Cyprus tonight. He is our man in the player's pen, so to speak. He gets all the footage, and we appreciate that, and we hope you appreciate all of that as well. So, massive shout out to Steve. There he is, looking happy. It wouldn't be a show. I didn't show that. There you go.
Hang on, is that? Hang on a second. Bring that up again.
No, I can't.
Are you sure? Are you sure that's not Russell Crowe? Isn't that Russell Crowe in Gladiator?
Yeah, that does look like Russell Crowe.
Unleashed something or another's.
Yeah. There you go.
Hang on. Steve, does this mean that they recognised you from that mugshot we just put up? Or was there another reason for him to know that you were a Spurs fan? A spring in your step after yesterday's win? I don't know what it would have been, but...
is that just before immigration put the rubber gloves on? Sorry, carry on.
In the immigration, definitely watched the cheese room. I definitely seen him and thought, Christ, we better be nice to this man. He's one important hombre. Speaking of important hombres, HG, have you managed to eat torta humilde yet, which is Portuguese for humble pie? About Lucas Moura.
Oh, yeah, okay, good. I'm glad that question that I wrote.
I mean, I forgot the punchline. Go.
Well, look, Lucas has been scoring. I don't know whether it's just because it's December. I mean, did he get one in November as well? Maybe he only scores in winter months. I don't know. But, yeah, he's been scoring, so you can't knock it, really. I think that, to get 2 assists and a goal in any game it means that you've done pretty well. So I don't know about eating humble pie yet. I mean, he's been at the club almost 4 years. And we can remember the Amsterdam game, the game against Huddersfield, and what the last month. I mean, there are a few headed goals thrown in, there, and I think the goal at Rochdale in the Cup years ago. But look, he's playing better. We're happy to see it. But yeah, I'm not. I don't know about humble pie just yet. I mean, it's Christmas and I'm eating a lot, but I don't think humble pie is on the menu just yet.
I've put about 3 stone. I think I need to absolutely lose a bit of timber. Only 27 likes. There's nearly 50 people watching. Come on, guys, smash that like button and let other people know how great it is.
Hang on. Right. So, Lindy Millard is my mum. Obviously, got a comment about the fact that I have never really rated Lucas Moura, and she obviously does. Mum, my dad likes Lucas Moura too, so that should put the kibosh on it for you completely. Both my parents seem to rate Lucas Moura, which I don't know if that tells you much about me, but there you go.
I mean, Lucas Moura, I rate him when he plays like he has recently, but he's let us down too many times, doesn't he? That's the reality. He does seem to be flash in the pan, Lucas. But look, this is the Conte era. Let it continue. Conte sees him as a key player. He said that. Sees him as a really important player. My dad loves him because he scored a great goal against Wolves once. So shout out to my dad.
I will say that for the 2 assists he got, I mean, they were. I mean, I don't really rate the assists, but he was down the right hand side and he played a simple ball into the middle. If it comes with a goal, great, give him all the reward possible. But I was more impressed actually with the move to his goal when he got the ball on the left wing and drove forward with it. But yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get to the goals later.
Okay, sticking with you, HG. Zaha's sending off. I mean, we know he's a gooner, but why does he give it the angry face every time? Every time he plays Spurs, he just seems to get riled up and really angry. What's wrong? Does he need a bit of calm, bit of chill in his life or something?
You talking to me?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just figured that you were going to someone else because I've been speaking.
Oh, well, I said HG sticking with you.
Does Zaha need a chill pill? Zaha's just garbage. Sorry, I've always thought he's garbage. I don't want him anywhere near Spurs. I never have done. Flatters to impress. Can you say
deceive.
That? I mean,
deceive.
Well, I know, flatters to deceive, but all he does is deceive. So to me, is there an opposite to that? He turns 30, I think, in a couple of months, Zaha. Or maybe, I don't know how old he is, but he's not good enough for Spurs. He's not that great. He's very good on his day, at home. But look, I didn't expect him to do what he did. I'm happy that he did. I don't really know what your question was, so I better stop talking.
Free kick at Marine, worldy. There you go. I love that.
Moura has actually scored 36 goals for us.
In how many games?
Oh, about 170 or something stupid like that.
And how many assists?
Oh, I don't know. Haven't got that stat.
What I've got, I'll tell you what. Newcastle are still beating Man United. It's approaching the 67 minutes played.
Stop talking about it. Let's just get on with Spurs.
That top four, HG, I tell you, it's getting closer to second.
Can I talk about Zaha? Can I have a little rant about Zaha?
Of course you can. Go for it.
The guy is 29.
Keep it clean, though. We want to keep our PG rating tonight.
Yeah. The guy is 29, HG, just so you know. What a petulant, spoilt brat child. He let his club down and his teammates and most of all his fans. That was pathetic. He let Davinson Sanchez wind him up. Davinson, you absolute beauty there, did a job on him. Because he'd had a couple of kicks. I think Skip had kicked in, maybe Højbjerg had. Sanchez gone a couple of times in. The first one, he didn't touch Sanchez much, but he did clip him for no reason at all. And the second one's just WWF, wasn't it? Or WWE or whatever it is these days. Just needless, pointless. What on earth? He's 29. He's not 17. I'd expect that from a kid. My 2-year-old who has tantrums wouldn't have a tantrum that bad. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
he should be. Go on.
Go on. So I'd say German TV thought it should have been a straight red by itself for doing it.
Yeah, should have been.
It was definitely the case.
I'm not sure if it was straight red. It was bloody stupid. I mean, what on earth was he thinking?
I mean, go on.
We all said Tanganga. Was he 21? Shouldn't he was stupid in that game at Selhurst Park because he'd been booked and he went in for a rash challenge for the second one. Well, Zaha should know better, and it wasn't even a rash challenge. It was just stupidity. Go on, Dave.
I mean, if you're allowing yourself in your career to be outthought by Davinson Sanchez, then you really are in big trouble.
Is that your comment on the situation? Is that what you got to add to this, John?
Pithy. Oh no, that was John. Me or John?
No, honestly, this COVID jab's knocked me for 6. Dave, I'm not getting you mixed up with John. He's far better looking. I meant you.
We know he's better looking. I'm cool with that. It's okay. That's what I got to say on the subject. Pithy.
Well, there you go. Second half, John, down to 10 men. Palace down to 10 men. Do you think we broke them down enough? I mean, we could have brought on a bit more attacking threat in the midfield. We stuck with Højbjerg and Skip.
Is the strangest move the fact we're 2-0 up and Winks is getting stripped off? We suddenly saw a third, and it's not Winks, it's Ndombele, who's the more attacking player. Is that down to Conte not trusting on Ndombele? Yeah, 2-0. Do you think?
Maybe.
He's trusting Ndombele when we're 3-0 up at home against 10 men. On you go, Twingy.
Come on.
Literally.
Come on, Winks. You don't trust him either, do you, surely?
But he was stripped off. He was about to come on. And then we scored the third.
I got on the phone. I said, enough of that, Conte. Get a message to Steve in the Tunnel Club. We shout to the Italian one. Don't put Winks on.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we just saw the game out. It was all about, preserving the energies, get Kane off, get Son off, because we've got a game tomorrow. 2 days is not a long time, is it?
Got to say in the chat, Brooke, his brace at Man United was awesome. The header against City, his record in the Champions League is also pretty good too, not just Amsterdam. It would be remiss of me not to call that out. Equally, this COVID jab or gin. Well, what I'm finding out, Alan, is that COVID jabs and gin don't necessarily get on that well.
You shouldn't booze. You shouldn't booze the same day as you have a COVID jab. You know that.
Well, no, wouldn't explain that to me. They just said don't drive for 10 minutes.
Oh,
is that all they said?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, did you not get given the pamphlet?
No, they said, have you read that? Like on the thing when you come in, I went, yeah, of course I have.
By the way, Caller, have you looked at the football?
Yeah,
Who scored for United?
I've got a 120-inch screen.
Cavani.
1-1.
Oh, God.
Bit of a shame. But, I mean, 1-1 is actually my dream result in this match because I don't really want Newcastle to escape relegation, so that'd be fine as well. Yeah. That'd be fine.
Mother HG is really going for it tonight
She's
on the comments.
really going for it, isn't she? It's an injection. Duh!
Yeah, Caller hasn't done drink and drugs for at least
A week.
Well, anyway, yeah.
Anyway, Dave, Son's corner and Kane's effort. Did you think of Anderton and Sheringham, or Fox and Everson?
Sherrington.
Oh dear!
Teddy
will be hosting this for me tonight.
Terry Sheddington.
Terry Sheddington.
Terry Sherrington was never the same when he went to Fulchester United. His comic, I'll tell you.
No.
He was lined up with Billy the Fish and Mick Hucknall. Honestly, it didn't work. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it was a structured, worked corner, which we used to see in the 90s from Sheringham and Anderton. It was unbelievable. I think we saw at least 2 or 3 corners that went to where it meant to win. And there was another mind, and there was another.
To be fair,
yeah, and then there was another mind-altering event that happened just a little bit later, which we'll capture on the run sheet. But yeah, it was like Anderton and Sheringham rolling back the years. It was beautiful. Didn't score though.
no.
Is that another Mick Hucknall song? Rolling back the years.
It's holding back the years.
Yeah, may as well be.
And then there's Enoch. Money's too tight to mention. But anyway, move
Oh,
on.
here we go. Someone please control him. HG, Spurs' third goal, Son's tackle and pass, Lucas's cross, Son's finish. It was sublime, wasn't it?
Yeah, if you give Lucas about 10 seconds to pick a cross out, he's all right. Yeah, it was Spurs finally getting some space up against 10 men. We finally worked a bit of an opening. We had a couple of half chances before that, but yeah, it was well taken. And 3-0 is probably a fairer reflection on the game as a whole. But yeah, like I don't read a great deal into it. It was just nice to see Spurs. The whole thing about yesterday is that like we didn't leave second gear. Like we weren't great before we scored. We got 2 goals very quickly, and then we just managed the game after that. I don't think we looked amazing, but a 3-0 win when you're playing okay or average, or maybe even less than what you want to be doing as an average, we can't knock that. So I hope that it continues, that we continue to get results. The Southampton game, obviously being an away game, our first for 7 weeks, something stupid like that. In the league. So yeah, that tomorrow is probably a bigger challenge for us, and will tell us more about where we are as a club. But to win 3-0 without really trying at home, you have to have a decent setup to do that. I really believe that.
Pretty decent indeed. John, what I was going to say to you was, what's a bigger joke? Yeah, Stevie B coming on as a striker for Harry Kane, or Zaha's like reckless second, which he got sent off for. Is Stevie B really being considered a forward now? I mean,
Conte said this 2 or 3 weeks ago, didn't he?
Well, he might say it, but
he sort of, his goal the other night was from him playing in that number 9 position, holding off, I think it was Craig Dawson, and laying it off to Højbjerg, who squared it back to him. So there's potential there until we hopefully sign Vlahovic. Maybe in January, maybe not.
I don't think anyone saw Memphis Depay being a number 9 at any point in his career, and now he is. Right, he plays number 9 for Barcelona. He's number 9 for the Dutch side.
I mean, they're both Dutch. Yeah, I get it.
Well, yeah, but they're very similar in shape too. I mean, they're both not the biggest, but they're quite stocky. Bergwijn is clearly quite good with his back to goal. He doesn't mind having defenders behind him, and he can look up and play the right pass. So. Look, I personally, I think Bergwijn is more likely to be an understudy for Son than he is for Kane. But if he can play with his back to goal and create chances for others, then that's what you want. It's all about creating chances. It doesn't matter who scores them, as far as I'm concerned. So if Bergwijn lays on 5 chances a game but doesn't score, I'm all right with that.
Dave, Tony Gale, whoever he is, thinks that Kane, Son and Moura are one of the best attacking 3 in the Premier League? I mean, that's bloody obvious, really, but what are your thoughts on it?
Well, Tony Gale played and existed before the Premier League started, Caller. So I know that's
why I haven't heard of him then. Isn't it?
No, obviously.
I think Tony Gale's won the Premier League.
Yeah, he was at Blackburn, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Did he pick up a medal?
Okay.
In '95.
Possibly.
I remember Blackburn. Yeah. It's up north.
Anyway,
place up north.
Place up north.
Tony Gale, who's a big Simply Red fan, he said that he said that Son, Moura, and Kane are one of the best top attacking three in the Premier League. And, I mean, look, Moura has done well recently, and we've discussed him at length tonight, but he needs to score more goals and more assists on a consistent basis. Let's see him go on a run of consistency over the next few games before we can rejudge it. We still need, ultimately, to really challenge for top four and challenge for top trophies. We do need an upgrade on Moura and an upgrade on several other players over time.
One that Enoch will fund, yeah?
Enoch have got a history of getting in stars, so it should be good.
Okay.
1
stars, 2 stars.
That was another Simply Red reference. If you want me to stop, if you want me to stop, I reckon I could do Simply Red reference.
100 likes to shut him up about Simply Red. Or in fact, 100 likes to hear him sing Stars by Mick Hucknall.
100 likes, I'll share you my Simply Red playlist from Spotify, just for you, right? And I've got one.
I mean, they're Brummies as well, aren't they?
No.
What?
No.
What did you just say?
Brummie. Oh, no, it's UB40. Wrong one. Wrong load of crap. Sorry.
I'll tell you what,
I'll
tell you what, Caller. This could be a great drinking game every time Dave drops lyrics in for the guys watching. Maybe not for you, because you'd be like, you can't pronounce anything as it is tonight.
I've got to be honest. I don't think I should have had that.
Okay. Simply Red are from the same city that this band is from. Okay.
London.
That's a joke. That was a joke.
All I can say is, like, for all the crap we give Caller for liking Coldplay, Dave deserves just as much for liking Simply Red.
Hang on. When you say everyone gives me crap for liking Coldplay, there's a few Coldplay lovers in here. And in fairness, Dave O's admitted the first album was good.
2 albums.
First two albums, he says.
First 2 albums. Third album, few good songs. Can't stand Fix You. Sorry, everyone. And then after that, it's shite. That's my summation of Coldplay's career. I think we're going off topic. And that's my fault. I've gone off topic before tonight with cataclysmic results. So, yeah, move on.
Anyway, right. John, what did you reckon to Davinson Sanchez's chest down and shot? What were your thoughts? Did you see that, firstly?
I did see that, yeah. It's a shame it was on his left foot, not in his right. I think, given the shot he had last week, or 2 weeks against Norwich, 3 weeks ago, he might have hit the target. Dave's mate's on again. But I noticed that Sanchez is pushing forward a lot more, isn't he? He's getting a lot more possession. Suddenly he can actually pass the ball, which is quite odd. I mean, Conte's a genius. How's he done this? It doesn't matter about Ben Davies or even Winks. The fact that Sanchez can find his own player that isn't the other centre-back has been quite shocking to me.
Yeah. Let me know your favourite Coldplay song. We'll randomly pick a winner and send you a Cheese Room T-shirt in 2025 when they've been produced.
Can I just on the run sheet, and I don't want to act like a spoiled child like Jurgen Klopp. That Sanchez question was for me because when he chested it down, and if he'd have scored, I think I'd have had to take myself to hospital because I'd have been in some existentialistic different world if he'd have done that.
Which we'd have all enjoyed watching.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, that's a rubbish question. But I'll ask it anyway. Yeah, thanks for writing the run sheet, Dave. John, who were Spurs' best players on the day?
What, from watching on my phone while walking around a park?
It's a rubbish question, but you could all try
obviously Lucas Moura.
Yep.
Just for a very, very good goal and 2 assists. And what was nice, actually, I know you're saying, those simple crosses, but when was the last time we actually saw Moura on the right wing crossing the ball? I don't remember that for a long time.
Not
and
enough.
Twice in the game. No.
I've said for years
Yeah.
that I want him down the right.
True.
But if we want to use terminology, modern terminology, the pre-assist for the first goal from Emerson Royal was probably better. A left-footed pass that's 20, 25 yards into the path of Lucas. Lucas had the easy task, and Kane had a slightly more difficult task. But Lucas played well. He did. We'll
Can I go back on that? Sorry, just to repeat. Just go back. It all started with Skip. Nice crunching tackle from Skip. It fell to Højbjerg, and he absolutely blasted it at Lucas, which is something that I've noticed. The midfielders are hitting it a lot harder now, whereas these little pathetic side-foot passes. And Lucas miscontrolled it. Tompkins was then dragged out of position, tried to win the ball, and he passed it to Emerson. But that created the gap because then Lucas was on his bike, wasn't he? And no one could track him, which meant that who's the Anderson? Anderson
couldn't get
Anderson, the guy
he got dragged over.
We should have signed. I thought he looked rubbish.
It was his first game back. He's been out for a long time, to be fair to him. But yeah, and on that note, Palace had 10 of the 11 players who started the last game playing. So they've got no excuse for this whole COVID malarkey. That's ridiculous.
St. Maximum's going off injured. He looks like he's done his hammy. So that's Newcastle season done. It's 1-1, by the way, in the 83rd minute.
Is it Højbjerg or Højbjerg?
Højbjerg.
I thought it was Højbjerg.
So somewhere in between would be my guess. But,
well, HG, you're the European linguistic.
You're the cunning linguist.
I think it rhymes with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's like Højbjerg.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
We did do the song on the pod a while ago. HG,
I remember that.
He's Fresh Prince of Højbjerg. And I had my Højbjerg. He comes from Copenhagen. He likes the streaky bacon. Højbjerg. Which I think was the winning song.
But you can call him Højbjerg. You can call him Pierre. I mean, he's still the best Pierre in North London, so it doesn't really matter.
Don't take much either.
Playing.
He's the only Pierre that turns up on time.
HG, you had a tweet that you were very excited about recently. Do you want to talk about it?
So I'm on Twitter. I don't really know how it works. Let's be honest. I see kind of the idea.
I've tried showing you the way.
You did, and that's why I still don't really know what I'm doing. But I had a tweet that went out about yesterday before the game, or maybe after the game had finished, and kind of explaining. In my idea, it was explaining that the players are better than people have been giving them the credit for. After being so bad under Jose and so bad under Nuno and so defensive, that actually Conte's come in and not changed a great deal, and yet the players look a whole lot better. The change of the formation has obviously helped us. We just look a more solid team, a much better team that tries to attack. But anyway, I guess people took it the wrong way and thought I was trying to say that all of the players that we have are good enough to do what we want them to do. I don't agree with that at all. But I do think that tactics matter and that players are better if they're playing in systems that suit them. And I feel that going from a defensive 4-3-3 under Nuno, which didn't really work for anyone, to the 3-4-3 that we're seeing most of the time now under Antonio Conte is working for us. Like we're expecting width from the fullbacks, but they're starting 20 yards higher up the pitch, so it's much easier for them to do it. But yeah, a lot of people liked what I said, so I shouldn't really worry about the ones that didn't. But there were a lot of people that thought I was saying that Spurs are just the players we have are good enough. A lot of the players that play in our best 11 right now, I'd be happy if they were squad players going forward. I definitely think we can improve on them. But we have to say that the players haven't exactly lost, they haven't gained any talent since Antonio took over. He's not good enough to coach people within, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever he's had, where he's barely had any training sessions apart from the ones that were online because COVID had hit the club. But what he's done is basically said, right, this is what I want to do. These players fit that system. And luckily for him, the players we have fit that system. So it's, I don't know, that to me was the thing that happened on Twitter today. But for the first time ever, I got annoyed at Twitter notifications because I usually get 5 a day. I'm not popular. But today it was so bad I had to turn them off.
So it's a case of something got you started there. So yeah.
Oh, know it.
Unbelievable.
I mean, look, the point that HG's making, I agree with mostly.
I mean, yeah. Here's the questions, Dave. As the resident Enoch outer.
Well, hang on. What's this got to do with Enoch?
Well, a lot, because they
Go
hired
on.
Conte.
Oh God Almighty!
They also have provided a playing squad that appears good enough under him, does it not?
Okay, let's debunk some of this stuff that you're saying. Number one, Conte is probably the best managerial appointment Enoch have ever made in 20 odd years. Well done.
Well done.
Okay, well, it's the best in 20 odd years.
So
the others that hang on.
Yep.
The others that were good were Poch, and no one thought that he would be. It turned out how he did. Martin Jol, who was there because Santini got the boot, and Harry Redknapp because we get relegated. So that's 4 decent managers, of which one of them was by design that we got him in. The other 3 were kind of accidents, really, and the rest were utter shite. So that's that one. So the second one is, as I said about Conte when he came in, he's got a lot of turds that he needs to polish, and that is only going to last you only so much. Okay, until they return to mean reversion like Dyer did with the West Ham goal the other night. Okay, so the important thing is that Enoch have got to support Conte in the transfer market. I really don't believe that Conte is going to turn around and say, I want to spend 150 to 200 million in January and June. I honestly don't believe that. But if he whatever he wants, he gets, because the sight of him on that touchline is just amazing. I'm just still pinching myself, and I am genuinely excited that he is our coach. He is at the peak of his career, and we've got to make the most out of this, because if we don't and he walks away, then as far as I'm concerned, that really is it.
So Enoch have got you started.
Have Enoch got me started? Yeah, I got concussed, saw stars, and now I love Enoch. They're brilliant.
Oh,
I feel like I'm cheating on my
I
feel like I'm cheating on my previous thoughts on Enoch, like I've got infidelity. Hey, come on.
Yeah, no one remembers that song.
I'll do. It's good. It's a good tune. Check it out. I might play it.
It's not as famous.
Are you on Spotify, HG?
I am indeed. Yeah.
I'll send you it after the show. All right.
Right. Good. You can do your Simply Red playlist. Publish it. We'll even tweet it out if you like, Dave, just to please you. This was the point I was picking up from Craig. Lots of people said if we have content at the start of the season, we'll be challenging for the title. The squad can't be that bad if that's the case. People can't have it both ways. And I guess that's the point you were making with your tweet, really, HG, that we've got some good players. Yeah. It's just a style of play.
Yeah, I've always felt that we had decent players. I just thought that a lot of them have been used badly. And it's not just Nuno, it goes back to Jose as well. The style of play that Spurs are best at, the fans want that too. But if you look at Spurs' defensive unit right now, none of us think any of them are that great. Let's be fair. Right? We don't look at Davies and think, oh, he's a world-class centre-back. We don't look at Dyer and think that. Conte might, but none of us have ever done that. And yet here we are playing Davies, Dyer and Sanchez, and we look like a solid unit. It's clear that how you set them up matters. I did another tweet today that talked about how systems are more important to success than players, and I firmly believe it. You can
how many likes did it get and retweets?
Not as many, because it wasn't quite as controversial to the people that think our players are crap. But it's like, I firmly believe that. Man United have bought players left, right, and centre, but they have had no system. And so they haven't ever been good enough to get where they want to be. Rangnick will give them that system, but it'll take, again, some time. But I just think that you look around at any team sport, you can have wonderful players, fantastic, like greatest of all time players. But if they don't have the system, then the team is not going to be successful. It's just not going to function. An organised team will beat a team of individuals. We know that. As Spurs fans, we should know that, because over the years we've had plenty of good players, but never really a cohesive unit. So it is nice to see that, there is a system that's in place. The players are clearly being taught certain moves, because we've seen the ball to Kane and then Lucas spinning off to get the layoff. We've seen that about 20 times in the last 3 or 4 games. The players are being taught these things, and we're getting results. We can sit here and talk about how some of the results are against the lesser teams at home, but again, to go out and beat Brentford by 2, Norwich by 3, and then Palace by 3, not conceded 1 goal in the last 3 home games.
Finally got a positive
like
goal
Spurs.
difference. Finally.
That's like Spurs under Pochettino, where we used to go out and win home games. And I don't think we've played well in any of those games, really, not to the level we were at under Pochettino, but we are getting results comfortably. And at home against the lesser teams, if I dare say that, that's what you want. Win your home games and see what you can do outside of that.
I mean, if I want to do the right thing for having an objective chat here, you have to say that that was another reference. You see, yeah, I know. When Conte came in, he did have a really good stretch of league fixtures. He's had a pretty straightforward league fixtures. I mean, Liverpool at home and possibly Leicester away, but let's not talk about Brendan Rodgers. Other than that, he's had quite an easy run of fixtures. Now, obviously, he's had to deal with COVID and all the rest of it, like everyone else. I get that. So he's done well coming in at that time. I mean, Nuno, I know he was shit.
It was the perfect timing, Dave.
Yeah.
The perfect timing. But I think it's perfect timing for the squad as well, because it gives that confidence, and confidence breeds confidence. And I think, if you think back to the dying embers of Nuno's 6-month reign or whatever it was, it probably wasn't even that long.
No, it wasn't even that, was it?
Like 3.
Whatever.
3 or 4.
I suppose the point is there was literally zero confidence whatsoever in that squad. And I think it was the perfect time. You've got to give Daniel Levy a lot of credit for bringing him in when he did, this clean run of games to take maximum amount of points. I think Levy's done a great job, wouldn't you agree?
Well, one of the classic things that you said when we appointed Conte was you've got to give Levy credit. He always eradicates his mistakes quickly. I mean,
It's true.
I mean, it's like going to a supermarket, asking for a trolley, and they keep giving you a basket. I mean, sooner or later, sack the person who does that, and then, he's eradicated the mistake quickly, so that's all right then. That was a crap metaphor. I apologise.
It's a really terrible metaphor.
And no Simply Red either. Sorry.
No, you can't have everything. You can't have everything. I mean, it's interesting. By the way, Newcastle are pouring it on. I mean, like literally, De Gea's made a worldie of a save, and they're in the 94th minute now. With 6 minutes of extra time. So it does look like Newcastle are going to get a point.
Don't say it.
Can I celebrate at full time?
Yes.
Yeah, I can. Because United are our competition, are they not, for 4th spot? Let's talk about that briefly. When you look at the league table, obviously Arsenal are in there. I refuse to believe that Arsenal are any good, to be honest. Danny Kelly, I don't know who that is.
He's a broadcaster journalist. He's been on TalkSport, editor of Q magazine, and there is a. He's
a Spurs fan.
Yeah, I will say, caller, I wouldn't look him up if I were you.
Yeah, he's about 60.
I mean, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah. I'm wearing my Christmas jumper. I suppose that's aging, and the COVID jabs put years on me, but don't worry about that. Quite frankly, get out. I'm going to ban you. Our league position 4th. HG, are Arsenal any good?
Are Arsenal good? Well, again, they're like Spurs. They're winning the games that they should go out and win. They've had a nice run of fixtures as well, and they've gone out and won them. And winning by 5 at Norwich, we probably won't do that. Right? I mean, we may well win at Norwich, but we should win at Norwich. I think it's the last game of the season. But I don't think that we'll win by 5. So you've got to give Arsenal some credit for what they've been doing, because they've put a run of results together. You hope.
Hang on. Hang on. I'm not flipping ginger.
It's the lighting.
Yeah.
You don't look ginger, though. I don't know. I think, Dave, you need to look at your screen settings, mate.
Right, check
I've
the
been
monitor.
accused of many things. Ginger is not one of them. Sorry, HG.
But no, I definitely feel that, if you look at Arsenal's squad, Man United's squad, I think Man United, if they do get it together, are more likely to put the type of run together that could really get them up into the top 4. But Arsenal are doing it right now. You have to give them some props for that. And you just hope that when it comes to the bigger games, because Arsenal do, I think they've got Man City next in the league. They play us in a few weeks. They've obviously got the 2 the 2 cup semi-finals against Liverpool. Maybe they lose those 4 games and confidence will disappear a bit. But look, you do have to give Arsenal a little bit of credit because they've finally figured out that not playing Aubameyang is better for their team. Because that I think that was it. I think for a long time he's their captain, right? So you've got to get him involved. You've got to have him be part of it. And obviously he did what he did, and he's no longer captain, and he can't get into the squad at all. And their front four is scoring. They're creating chances, and it's annoying that they finally figured it out. But let's hope that when it comes to playing the better teams, that we are able to beat them and get those points back.
Mm. I mean, there's so much to play for this season. It's untrue, isn't it? I think there's over half the home games are still remaining, as Spurs have told me, as they continue to try and flog me a premium season ticket for half the season. Let's talk briefly about Arsenal. I mean, they beat Norwich 5-0. Impressive. Dave, I'm ignoring everything HG's just said because I don't want to hear it, to be honest. Tell me after the shit.
Arsenal, I mean, the funny thing is about Aubameyang, you remember when Ian Wright was crapping himself about him, Aubameyang signing a new contract. So what's he on, 100, 250, 300 grand a week?
More like
350, I think.
He's got the Ozil salary and he's playing like Ozil and the attitude of Ozil. I think it's hilarious. So, look, he's got... I mean, it did make me laugh at the Goons when they beat us at the Emirates. They've got their Arsenal back and all the rest of it. But, when they went up to Anfield on the back of a good run, they still lost 5-0. So, I think that the challenge is that Gooners don't have European football. And I hope to God we don't launch a legal appeal to get us back into the Europa Conference. So that they've got chances there. So they've got a chance. Okay. So there you go. So Arsenal, flat track bullies. Arteta, may he long remain as their manager, because I think if Arteta goes, there's a really good chance that Vieira will go from Palace to the Gooners.
I mean, but he's not lighting the world on fire just yet, is he? I love this from Alan. John, let's come to you. What about West Ham?
Well, thanks very much, Southampton. Got you 3 points yesterday. Hopefully we'll take the 3 points back off them. But West Ham having a little sticky patch, aren't they? Which is quite nice to see because of the amount of grief we were all getting on social media.
They've got a few players out, haven't they, I think, to be fair?
Well, Antonio was back yesterday, wasn't he? So their front four was pretty much. I mean, I know they're missing some centre-backs, but they've still got a pretty good team. But, they'll probably win more than they lose. But I think we should hopefully, touch wood, unless we have a disaster with Kane and Son, as we have in previous seasons, finish above them.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that, I watch a lot of darts, as you know. The darts before the Christmas, everyone was singing in the darts about Tottenham getting battered, and all the fans from the other teams are united and they're chanting against it. I watched the darts today and heard nothing. So West Ham have obviously gone back in their place because we beat them in the cup. They lost to Southampton at home, and Southampton, let's face it, they're not world beaters. You should be getting results against them. Even a draw would have been a disappointing result for them. So, long may it continue. West Ham have a very good first 11. Outside of that, they struggle a little bit. And, John said that Antonio came back. Yeah, he came back at half-time because they needed him. They were already down. So he will score them goals. But, West Ham have Europe as well. So if Dave's thinking that it's going to be a concern, then West Ham will struggle, and it should really be between us and Arsenal and United if they get their act together. But from what I'm seeing in the comments, they were rubbish tonight. And with games coming up so fast for everyone, then Rangnick is going to have to start winning games pretty soon. And again, not winning at Newcastle is a bad result.
Oh, very bad, and they nearly lost. And honestly, they were played off the pitch. So I think he's got some working out to do. Ronaldo is getting skinned by Newcastle players, which is hilarious, to be honest. He didn't track back once, show pony.
He's almost as old as you, Caller.
Can you believe I'm celebrating my 40th birthday shortly? John's closer to 50. You're close to 60, aren't you? John,
I'm 45.
You look about 32.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
John looks like he's in his 20s. Come on.
He does look like he's in his 20s. It does.
It's the filter on this webcam.
It's all that running he does.
I know. Well, you watch this
I tell you
space,
that.
Dave. I tell you what, done it before. I'm going to do it again. I'm shedding January. That is true. Right. Let's move on. We're going to talk about Southampton. We're going to talk about this shortly. Who do we want to see in January? So yes, we will cover transfers shortly. But first, we're going to talk briefly about the preview of the match tomorrow night. HG, how do you think we're looking at lining up?
It's tomorrow afternoon, isn't it? Isn't it a 3 p.m. kickoff? I think so.
Sorry, it is. I'm still in week.
No. I need to know
mode.
because I want to watch it. If I show up tomorrow night, I'll be like,
We'll just look at your TV listings. It'll be fine.
Okay. I don't think we'll be much different. I think it'll be a 3-4-3. Like looking at the 3 games we've played, what was it? The Liverpool game and then the West Ham game and then yesterday, only 3 players in the outfield started all 3 of those games, and that was Dyer, Sanchez, and Kane. And we all know Kane got taken off. So, and you do think that Dyer and Sanchez as defenders have less of a workload. You know, they're not asked to do as much. So I could see that there might be a couple of changes from the side that beat Palace yesterday, but I don't know how many there will be. Maybe Bergwijn will come in over Lucas, but there's little reason to do that because Lucas obviously did well against Palace. Maybe the fullbacks will get changed because, you know, that seems a very easy thing to do. But I'm not sure Sessegnon's fit. And if he's not fit, then Reguilon will play again. So you look at it and think Davies will come in, maybe Winks instead of Højbjerg or Skip. But I don't see more than 3 changes. And that seems optimistic. So I think we'll play the way we have done and we'll look to do what we've done in the home games recently.
John, will Theo Walcott score?
No, he's gone, isn't he? Hopefully.
Well, I hope so.
I mean, he's almost as old as you, even though he's been around about 40 years.
What do you think with my age? Look, just because I wear glasses, I'm morbidly obese, and have got grey hair, I look older than I am. It's just life. Yeah. Happens. Don't worry. Watch this space. Get fit with Caller. Go into a Twitter
YouTube channel.
Well, we could.
Who needs Joe Wicks when we've got Caller on the case?
Absolutely. Look, I've got 2 pelotons in here, weight bench. I tell you what, you come and train with me, I'll sort you out. Right.
More like Pat Wicks.
More like candle wicks, burnt out. Dave, are Southampton due another 9-0 drubbing?
Well, I did a lot, as always, the intense research that I do before I came onto the show tonight. I WhatsApped some mates of mine who I used to live with in Sydney, a lot of Southampton fans, and said, seriously, who are the danger men? To the response I got back, we don't have any. So you know, I mean, it'd be great if we look. It'd be lovely if we beat them 9-0 at their place. It would be a real wonderland of a show. But the problem is we'll go 3 or 4-0 up and they'll take off players and rest them and rotate. So that's not going to happen. But yeah, I mean, they're very weird in terms of how they, they do well, then they don't do well. They're very sporadic, but I reckon they'll still stay up. But they were moaning about Ralph at the semi-final last year. They moaned a lot about his defensive approach. They didn't have any shots on target or anything like that. So maybe they're starting to fall out of love a bit with Hasselhoeven.
Little rabbit hutch.
Little rabbit hutch. They just seem to be the most inconsistent team ever. Like they'll win like they did against West Ham the other night. Then they'll go get spanked against us, hopefully. They just don't seem to ever put a consistent run together, yet they always just about do enough to stay in the Premier League, don't they, John? I mean, what is it with Southampton?
They've got 1 or 2 good players. Obviously, they've lost Ings, and Armstrong's coming from Blackburn and hasn't quite hit the ground running. Shea Adams has he stepped up a little bit. He's scoring a couple of goals.
Got James Ward-Prowse still. I mean,
Ward-Prowse is their main man.
He is,
and he will always pull out a free kick, either a set piece that gets headed in as it did the other day, or his direct free kick, which he's done against us before. Paul Muir is probably right. Dyer will probably give away a free kick, or Højbjerg. Højbjerg against his old team will probably want to go and prove that he's the main man and make a mistake or something stupid. But yeah, Ward-Prowse is good. Walker-Peters will be playing left back, which would be interesting. So I'd quite like to see Lucas play against him. I think Walker-Peters was a good right back. I think he's okay at left back. I always didn't think he was great for us at left back. He'll probably be man of the match now, won't he?
But can I just come in on that point? Genuinely, back to the Southampton fans that I know, they were genuinely really happy with the deal that saw Højbjerg go to Tottenham and Carl Walker-Peters come to Southampton. They really liked Carl Walker-Peters. Kid that he had that session. He was on loan for them to start with, so they were really happy with that deal.
I mean, but they're inherently stupid, aren't they?
Yeah, because Hasenhüttl was so happy with the deal that he went out and signed Livramento 12 months later, and now Walker-Peters can only get a game if someone else is injured. I think it's a deal that worked for both teams. Let's face it, but to us, I think it was a player that we weren't using, who wasn't going to get any game time. Hadn't really got any game time ever. Whether he should have done or not is irrelevant. He wasn't getting the game time, and we swapped him for a guy who's plays all the time in the Premier League, doesn't miss a game really unless he gets COVID. He may not be the best player in the world, but you want I'd rather have Højbjerg in my squad than Walker-Peters. I really would.
And Højbjerg's much better at doing that than Walker-Peters.
He is. Do you think they're going to go down, HG?
Southampton, no, because as you said, they win enough games. You look at the teams. You look at the teams that are down there. Burnley have won one game all season in the league. Newcastle have won maybe one game all season. Those two look certainties. Burnley will get a few results, but I just think that there are worse teams down there than Southampton. Despite the fact that they don't really have any strikers. Che Adams has never looked prolific at this level. They sold Ings, so that they might be a bit fortunate to stay up. Walcott might get you 5 or 6 a year. The guy they have on loan from Chelsea, is it Broja? He played against West Ham and got the penalty, which put him, I think, 2-1 up in that game.
Yeah.
And he looks like Jimmy Hill. He's got a big chin and a big beard at the end of the chin. So when I saw him on the highlights, I was like, Jimmy Hill plays for Southampton. This is great. But just Southampton do have some good players, but I don't rate Bednarek at centre half. I don't think their keeper's that good. So they're clearly not the Southampton that they were, 10 years ago when you had, Lallana and Schneiderlin and all the others, because there's a load of players. Oxlade-Chamberlain was there at the time. They are a bottom third Premier League side, and I think they'll have enough to stay up, but they won't do much better than that.
Caller, do you know who Jimmy Hill is?
I do, yeah. He's a Coventry City legend, isn't he? He used to present Match of the Day as well.
Before the Premier League started, yeah.
Yeah, all of that malarkey.
Just checking.
Well, all right. Anyone got any Southampton away memories? This is more likely geared at John and Dave.
I have been to Southampton. HG's desperate. He's nodding his head. Go on, HG.
I'm not desperate, but I have been to the Dell. I went to the Dell to watch a Premier League game.
Ooh, come on then. Let's have your Premier League memory.
I genuinely don't even know what the score was. I think it was 1-1, maybe 92-93 or 93-94. One of those 2 years. I'm pretty certain we wore that yellow kit, the famous yellow kit from back then with the the blue and the white bits up here. Anderton might have scored, but yeah, I don't think it was a great game. I remember there being a fight outside after the game, which for a 14-year-old kid was like, ooh, a fight at the football. I'd never seen it before. But yeah, I don't have great. I mean, apart from that, that's all I really know. So, I mean, I lived in Fareham for a while, which is down by Southampton, and so a lot of my school friends were Southampton fans, and it was easier to get an away ticket for a game that was pretty much my local Premier League team at that point. So. But yeah, that's good, almost 30 years ago now.
John, let's have yours then. Come on then.
So the only time I've seen Spurs at Southampton, I've actually been to a couple of Southampton games in the home end for they were free tickets, so long story. But the only time I've been in the away game with Spurs was Southampton's first season back in the Prem, when Bale scored a header, and it was a 2-1 win. I can't remember who scored the other goal off the top of my head. And a mate of mine is a Southampton fan. I'd met him before in the pub, and he'd said the hotel he'd stayed in the night before, the Spurs squad were there. and he got in the lift with his wife and kids, and Sandro had got in, and he just said Sandro was the nicest guy, but he was an absolute animal. He was just a beast. He looked like a man mountain.
Well,
and about
he's a cheese room legend as well.
He is indeed. And about 5 minutes before the end, at the far end of the pitch, Southampton were really pushing us because Jay Rodriguez had got a goal back. And I can't remember who hit it. Somebody hit a thunderbolt from about 35 yards. And Sandro just stood there and headed this ball away. And it flew about 150 yards away. And he got knocked down and just got straight back up. And I was messaging my mates and the guy, he's a beast. But that was a great result. Good day. Can we put up Phil Ambrose's comment? It's probably lost it. I've lost it now.
Absolutely.
Rocket Ronnie.
Rocket Ronnie, yeah.
What a game that was.
I was there.
Yeah, you go.
I was there. So I went down to Southampton. It was me, my brother, and a mate I was at uni with who's a Southampton fan. Went down there. We were front row at the away end. You could see us on the telly. Apparently, you could see me swearing at the linesman, which caused my father no end of pride. And we went 2-0 down. Francis's tactic, after he'd just taken his racing pigeons out, was to have Nethercott man-on-man with Letizia. He took off Nethercott, brought on Rocket Ronnie, and we won 5-2?
6-2.
6-2. And the Tottenham away end was singing the Israeli song Hava Nagila to the name of Rocket Ronnie Rosenthal. So that was a beautiful night. Me and my brother went back to the car wondering if the Southampton fan was going to join us or just be in abject misery and stay in Southampton. And he was like, I'm used to how bad we are and this could happen, which is very sad.
But it's equally, nothing's changed, does it, Dave?
For them, no. And then the other one is I went Boxing Day 2001, and I think we'd just gone second. Hoddle was the manager, and we went to St Mary's. I had a Southampton mate of mine sat in with us in the Tottenham away end. We lost 1-0. We were absolutely rubbish. And the Southampton fans were giving Hoddle and I think Dean Richards a load of pelters because of they just joined from Southampton. So those are my Southampton away memories.
Beautiful. Well, did I miss any? None.
No.
Did you miss any memories?
Yeah, no. I was busy. I was doing something while you were talking, so I wasn't giving you my full attention. Because
you thinking about Teddy Sherrington again.
I was thinking about this man.
There it is.
Who is in the chat tonight. He's in Cyprus like a centurion tonight. Yeah. Sorry, I had to throw that.
Did you have the hearts on?
I didn't have the hearts on.
He did that.
Were they on there already?
He did that and sent it to us. Well, if you're going to do something that daft, I'm afraid it's going to get used and abused, isn't it? So there is the man behind the Conte cam. If you haven't already checked it out, do check it out. If you haven't listened to the podcast, there's a great show reviewing the recent victory over Crystal Palace, available now on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. So do check that out as well. And if you're not already a Patreon, what are you doing? Sign up. It's only £3 a month. Details are in the scrolling ticker. Let's finish the Southampton segment with a prediction. John, how's this one going to go?
I'm going to go 3-1 Spurs.
Nice. HG?
2-0 Spurs.
Nice. Dave?
Well, I wanted to do either of those two, so I can't do that now, can I? 4-1 Tottenham.
Oof. And I'm going to say we're going to win 3-0.
So clearly we are not going to win.
Lose.
If all of us think we're going to win, that is a bad sign.
Overconfidence. Yeah. Well, let's say 3-1.
2-1 home win.
James Ward-Prowse with a free kick will upset Hugo. By the way, is Hugo going to sign a new contract or what, John? What's your view on that? I mean, he's on the cover of tonight's show for good reason. He's been absolutely cracking this season. Surely we're going to try and keep hold of the man.
I think he is. I think they'll convince him. I think we're not hearing any vibes that he's not going to, are we? There seems to be lots of positive.
Well, the only thing I'd say to that is, he can sign a pre-contract with another club in a few days' time. So, time is of the essence.
Yeah, it might be that he wants to see what we do in January. I think he probably was going to leave, but now we got Conte. If he's
Like
Dave's
Harry.
laughing.
So how many Januaries has Lloris been at Tottenham for?
Lots.
This will be number 10.
Right. So how many Januaries have we done lots of things in? And you can't include Gedson Fernandez.
Listen, he was exciting at the time. He was the right Fernandez at the right time.
He was exciting at the time? What time was that?
I was excited because I saw him in the stadium with Mr. Diver in the Tunnel Club, arriving, being ushered in before it was announced. So it felt like a coup. But that was
the
as
Chelsea
good as
game, wasn't it?
That was as good as it got in his entire Tottenham career for me. So yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
Bruno
answer the question.
Fernandes.
Is Lloris going to sign a contract, Davo?
Is he going to do the right thing and sign a new contract? I hope so.
HG?
He'll wait to see what offers he has, and he'll pick the one that he likes the most. If that's Spurs, it'll be Spurs, and if it's not, it won't. I mean, he has all the leverage. He can wait. There's no hurry for him at all. Even if he was to, do his elbow again and was out for 3 months, someone's still going to offer him a nice deal. So I don't think he needs to worry. But Spurs, obviously we want him to do it, but there's no rush for him at all. And John's right. He will wait to see where we're going, what it looks like we're going to do. He may well sign nothing more than an extra couple of years, maybe even just an extra year, an extra 12 months to see what happens. He'd be foolish to sign for 6 years. So it's I think 2 years is doable because he's 35 yesterday. He leaves at 37. He could still play 5 years in the top league. I've no doubt about it. So,
Got an amazing super chat. Obviously, likes the cut of your jib, HG, and wants Hugo to stay. Thank you, Gov. We appreciate your support as ever.
Gov's obviously a big Simply Red fan.
I mean, if there are any Simply Red fans in the chat, I'd like to know, because what are you doing with your lives? And of course, we're going to publish Dave's wonderful playlist. There you go. Gov also a whiskey lover as well, which is noted in the chat. Love a bit of whiskey myself. Transfers. Let's talk transfers. By the way, just my take on the Lloris thing. I really hope that we do sign Hugo to a new contract, because I can't deal with Galini being the number one next season. Right. So we've got a few transfer rumours. Wilson, McKennie. Let's start with him.
Weston McKennie.
Why is it Wilson in the run sheet?
That's my mistake. I've now done it twice. I've called him Wilson. Sorry.
Wilson! Like
Sorry.
a footprint on him. Yeah,
Sorry.
I know who it is. Anyway, McKennie. I should just use surnames. It's easier. It's more foolproof, Dave. I'm just going to take a comfort break while you spin this one round. HG, let's go to you.
Okay, we're talking about Weston McKennie. So Weston McKennie is a midfielder.
Yes, not Wilson.
Yeah, more of a defensive midfielder. I was having a conversation on Twitter earlier with I think a guy who's been on the podcast before, but we were talking about midfielders, and I'm desperate for us to sign a defensive midfielder, like a true defensive midfielder, not someone who can do a little bit of everything, but actually someone who just sits and patrols and breaks up the ball, and that's all I really want from someone like Wanyama, someone like Ndidi, like just that kind of real defensive midfielder. If McKennie is that guy, okay. McKennie has scored a few goals for Juventus, so he's clearly got a bit more than just that. But with the links we obviously have with Juventus, if they need some money and Paratici signed him once before, there's always a link that's worth following there. But I don't know. It would be good business for the club, because obviously as an American international, there'll be quite a bit of money in it for Spurs. Let's face it, there would be. We haven't had an American for a while now, so Carter Vickers doesn't really count. So if McKennie comes in, fair enough. But I haven't seen him enough to really want him in. I just think that we need someone. We do need someone like that.
I think the Carter Vickers family would argue that they are American, so that does.
Well, the dad is. The dad's American. The mum's from Essex. But yeah,
he's from Southend, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't think that the all the sponsors in America are going to be too fussed if it's Carter Vickers. They're not queuing up to have him on the front of their cereal boxes or whatever. But Weston McKennie. I mean, America have a lot of decent players right now, but McKennie is one of them. He's playing for a big team in a big European league and playing regularly. But I don't know if he's going to be the one, because Juventus will probably want more money than he's actually worth.
So I thought with McKennie, he's a box-to-box energetic player. Don't we need someone with a bit more guile on the ball who can break down teams? That's what we desperately need. If we get another kind of frenetic, energetic, that rhymes, doesn't it? It's just kind of similar to what we've got already with Skip and Højbjerg. So I'm not sure that that's kind of a value add. I'm not sure about that. And hasn't there been some disciplinary issues with him?
Yeah, I think so. But maybe with the American national team than rather with Juventus. I'm not quite sure what it was. But
right.
I mean, the list of players that Adrian's put up, like if you're looking at midfielders, well, I mean, Kessie, we all know, has got 6 months left on his deal, so we might pay up for him. Brozovic is the same situation, and Conte knows him really well. Who else is defensive? Grilic is a defensive midfielder. He's Austrian. He's more of a Carrick kind of defensive midfielder than a real tackler, but he does get involved. I'm looking at defensive midfielders personally. I don't know much about Svanberg. He's the one I know the least about. And Nandes is a tough tackling midfielder, kind of like. He plays more right side than defensive mid, but it's weird. Like, I know a lot of people are like Dave, and they want creative players in midfield. I want a true defensive midfielder. I really do. I think we're still missing that. So that's just my. I would rather have a defensive midfielder than an attacking one in January.
So? Huh? Sorry, I've just been off to get some whiskey. Gov tempted me in. I mean, all right, drugs and alcohol don't mix, but this is Penderyn, this is Welsh gold, so it's not really, it's medicinal. It'll send me off to sleep beautifully tonight. Do you not think we've got enough defensive midfielders? I mean, Oliver Skip's going to be a world-class defensive midfielder. Højbjerg is bloody defensive-minded. I mean, if he's a forward player, a forward-thinking midfielder, I'm an Irishman. Do you not think we've got enough of those?
No, because I don't think Højbjerg's best being a true. I mean, someone who will sit. And I only want them to sit. I don't want them to do a bit of everything like Skip can, and Højbjerg might be able to. I want someone who is comfortable and is just there as a screen. I want someone, as I said, who are the players I talked about? But like a Makaleli, I want someone who just sits. I don't expect goals from them. I expect them to break up attacks, win the ball. And that's about it. That's what I want in midfield, more than the Eriksen type that we all know we've been missing. But if I had to pick one, then I would want a defensive midfielder personally. And this comment that's been put up here about Schalke, he's talking about McKennie, because that's where McKennie was. If I believe him, if he thinks McKennie won't improve us, then I'll go with that.
Can we bring up the Nick Grimes comment about the goalkeeper, please?
Yep. Let me just find it. How far back is it, Christ?
A few back.
Here you go.
I'm looking as well. You got it?
Here you go.
You can't always live in the past, Dave.
Well, it's about 3 minutes ago. It's hardly 1964, is it now? Anyway, he's my mate, and he's from Harlow as well, like HG.
Shout out, Nick. We love Harlow. We don't have a good enough backup for Lloris, so I need to sort that out first. Yes, which is basically what I said, isn't it?
No, but I mean, the issue we've got, it's a bit, obviously, if Lloris turns around and signs a 2-year contract, then for next year, for the first year of the 2-year contract, then you're going to have your Galini likes as the backup, right? But then when you get into the second year, do you then buy someone to kind of mold them into being the successor, or do you wait till the end of the contract and buy the best that's around at the time? Because you've got Sam Johnson's at West Brom, and I think he's in his last year of his contract. Yeah. Dean Henderson, who was probably represented by Charlie Kane when he signed that deal with Man United. Dean Henderson, to me, looks the real deal.
Yeah,
if I could take you
you're
back
not
in
going to
history,
forget Dean Henderson. Forget Dean Henderson. There's no point discussing Dean Henderson. He's off the menu. He is absolutely off the menu. There's no chance Man United will release him to Spurs for starters.
but he is absolutely trapped where he is. I mean, what on earth is he?
Dave, it's done.
I'm not talking about him coming to Tottenham. I'm talking generally.
He's not going anywhere. He won't go anywhere. He's going to waste his life at Man United, sat on the bench.
So it's official. Dean Henderson will waste his life. There we go.
Rest in peace.
There we go.
Can I ask?
Christmas.
Can you bring up Gov's comment at 10:23 about Kessie?
Yeah, I can. There you go.
Now, firstly, £8 million is a hell of a super chat.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, we've discussed this before. McKennie, Kessie, whoever. Paratici has this scattergun approach, doesn't he? He will have 10 players for every position being lined up so that they can work out where in the jigsaw it all fits, how the money works out. Kessie obviously makes sense because he's free in the summer. And there's been suggestions he'd like to come, especially under Conte. £8 million. This is a bit like the reverse of the Dembele, wasn't it? Where we sold Dembele for $9 million in January, and probably he could have helped us win the Champions League final if we kept him. Is the $8 million worth it? I'd say it probably is. We paid $1.8 million for Lewis Holtby in January after all. And look how he turned out.
We paid how much?
$1.8 million we paid,
wow.
Didn't we? Or $3 million or something rubbish like that for Holtby. But I think Kessie is a decent player. But he's more box to box. Is that right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I mean, he scored a lot of goals last season. So, I mean, he may well be able to sit, but he's got more to his game than that. Kessie is a likely signing because it fits what Levy wants to do. It's a cheaper deal, but it's true. It's a cheaper deal for the club long term, and I do think he's an improvement on what we've got. So that's and plus, Paul's right. Yeah, we've got Pape Sarr coming in the summer, who again is still only 19 when he does come. So, as much as I think Sarr is a good prospect, I think we'd be asking a lot for him to come in and be, even part of the rotation. We just don't know. It's going to be up to Conte to decide how good he is. But at that age, you need regular football. And so maybe another year somewhere else is going to be good for him. Maybe somewhere in England this time. I don't know. But we're going to need midfielders. I'm sure of that. Because as much as some have looked better recently, such as Winks and even Dele in midfield has looked better recently, there's a chance that it won't be enough to keep them past the summer. And so, we will be looking for other options.
I think we've got to have a turnover of people anyway, just to freshen it up. Because we've got so many players that have been like Winks and Dele, been at the club for donkey's years. I just think we honestly need to freshen the side up a little bit. And I'm not picking on those two specifically. There are others that have been there too long, so I would be all for having a high turnover. The issue for me with this whole chat, and we are going to bring you unrivaled coverage of the transfer window. We're going to be on it 24/7, having special guests talking about transfers non-stop through January, because it is a key window for Spurs. It's a window we don't generally do a lot in, if I'm being really honest. If I thought 8 million on the super chat would make it happen, I'd do it more. Thank you very much for that, Gov. Gov, you need to try Penderin Madeira finish. That's what the caller is drinking right now. It's very, very tasty. We appreciate your super chat. Thanks as ever for your support. Really, really good. What was I saying? So, how many of you actually think that we're going to do a lot of business? So, if I'm making a forecast, I'm saying couple in, couple out in January. Do you agree with me, HG? What's your view?
I think that's a safe assumption. Even if the outs are only on loan, there's a chance the ins may only be on loan as well. And we'll see what happens in the summer. But
do you think a lot of people are going to lose their shit about this? Because a lot of people seem to think that, a bit like Dave-O, we've got to back him. We've got to back him now. Back him in the transfer window. If January's a disgrace, Levy out. He's an idiot. All the rest of it.
Yeah, I just think that the interesting thing is what we're hearing from people like Alistair Gold about the positions that we're looking for. That we're looking for a left-sided centre-back. We're looking for a right wing-back, a number 9. They seem to be the three that come up all the time. and we're not necessarily looking for a number 10 or another midfielder. So I don't know, but when it comes to, I mean, you look at the squad that we have. Everyone knows Rodon's not getting minutes, so he may well want to leave. He should want to leave. Let's face it. Doherty might be someone that we look to shift permanently, because there's going to be a team in the Premier League that will want him around. I've no doubt about that. Because I mean, I know he's 29, 30. He doesn't have too much time left, but still, I think that he's proven enough in the Premier League. He could even go back to Wolves. Like, that wouldn't surprise me either. But I think that it is going to be that centre back, right wing back, and striker that we'll try and do in January. There's no reason to wait for those.
I have
ones.
to say, 67 likes is better than 37 likes. However, there's 132 people watching, so if you could all just smash that like button, just take 1 minute to hit it. That would be really, really, just do that. Click it. It's no problem to you. Takes 2 seconds. Click the like button. HG, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I'm done. Let's talk. Give someone else have a go.
My question: two in, 2 out. Dave O, do you think that's fair? I mean, I've just seen a comment from Paul. Don Parra cannot mess up this window after his Nuno appointment. This is a key window. Is that true?
I mean, Paul Muir, that's an interesting comment, but his best comment of the night so far when he said, "I've got a nice new barnet." So thanks, Paul, for that. And basically, Paul said it on the pod, reviewing the game, that that Paratici screwed up with the Nuno appointment, but we keep rewriting history again here. We appointed Nuno at a time where it was either Fonseca or Gattuso, and everyone else had turned us down. So there was no one else at the time, and Conte had turned us down. So I don't really put Nuno and Paratici. So no, I will not be getting my Enoch out flag or anything like that, caller. Although what I'm looking for in this January transfer window is a striker. We have to have a striker. If Kane or Son goes down injured, everyone will rack up their prices anyway. We have to get a striker, and we've got to get them in January the 1st. Okay, that's the priority. And then the second one is that I still think we need a different midfield player if we can get them. I reckon we can make do with the defence that we've got. In order to, the objective is top 4 and win a cup. Okay, that's what the objective is for the rest of the season. The striker is the most important thing. Okay?
So Dave, here's a question: if we went out and spent all of our money on Vlahovic in January and got him, and did nothing else, would you be happy with that?
Yes. Yes.
I didn't even see Phil put that, but there you go. Same. Great minds, Phil.
Yeah, no, I think we would, because if we get him in and Kane doesn't leave and signs another contract, happy days. I don't think that'll happen. We get him in, bed him in for 6 months, playing with Kane, Son, and all the rest, and then Kane goes in the summer for 75 million to Everton. Then that works out fine.
I mean, do you think that Kane is still on his way?
Do I think he's got 2 years to go? He's got 2 years to go. So either Daniel Levy.
Apparently, they're in negotiations for a new contract. Charlie Kane was pictured at Spurs Lodge looking very puzzled this week.
He's looking puzzled, did you say?
Yeah.
Did you say he's looking puzzled?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard he's Teddy Sherrington's new agent.
I tell you what, that's going to live in
my tiny brain for hours. Yeah.
It's quite funny. I mean, what do we think? I mean, Vlahovic, HG, to flip it to you, if he was our only signing in January, would you be happy?
I think so. Yeah, I really do. Like, I think we have. It's the biggest glaring area for us. Like whatever happens with Kane, we still want to have 2. I mean, most good teams have 2 strikers. It's only City decide to play with none, but for us to have 2 number 9s. I'd be surprised. I think someone in the comments talked about, would Vlahovic really leave in January? Maybe. It would be weird for him to, I don't know what the season Fiorentina are having, but he's going to want to play. But yeah, if Tottenham give him what he wants, right? Which apparently is a 200-week deal, and all the money that we give to Fiorentina for him, then I think he would come. But it has to be something that he wants. And if I were him, I wouldn't be thinking about moving until the summer.
Yeah.
And as Adrian says, there are other options which will come in a whole lot cheaper than Vlahovic.
And I didn't realise, I was listening to something the other day, that Vlahovic's contract runs out in 23, not 22. So he's not that near the end of his contract.
No, but I mean, he's told them that he's not going to sign a new one. And so the earlier they sell him,
the more
then
value
possibly
get,
the more money they'll get. But I honestly, I think that if he waits until the summer, like if the striker carousel happens, which we all seem to think, Mbappe's going to go and Haaland's going to go somewhere, like Vlahovic is next up, right? If Kane doesn't go anywhere, which he may not, Vlahovic is next up and probably is in front of Kane because he's so much younger. Like Vlahovic, Fiorentina could easily get the same money that they're asking in Jan in the summer because teams will be desperate. If they miss out on those top two, they're going to want Vlahovic. So, like, if I'm Fiorentina, I'm not even considering anything until the summer. But I think if we manage to get that one over the line, then that would be a good January for us because we know we need a striker, and why not swing for the fences?
So you got Vlahovic, Haaland, Lewandowski. They all want to go. Mbappe, is that right? Yeah. And then I think that it's this big, and then Kane, and then I think you might also have to chuck in Bamford or Calvin Lewin will go as well.
Yeah, I mean, I see this comment from Craig. They don't have to drop his price. There will be a run on strikers. And if Vlahovic is wanted, like Fiorentina aren't going to say, we'll take 50 million, we'll take 70 million in Jan and 50 million in the summer. They just won't do it. They'll wait to see what they've got. And then probably on August the 31st or whenever the deadline could be, they'll take the best offer that suits them. They don't want to sell him within Italy so that he'll go abroad. But I think Fiorentina, as much as they're losing leverage, the market as it is for strikers means that Fiorentina will still get very good money in the summer. And apparently they're asking for what? Is it 80 million euros? So it's like 70 million quid in Jan. It wouldn't surprise me if they got something similar in the summer. It really wouldn't. And like even if they lost 10 million, I'd still keep him for an extra 6 months of the season because you never know. I don't know what the Italian league is like right now, but Vlahovic can win you games, and that's what they want to do. If they wanted to sell him, they'd have sold him at the start of the year and tried to affect this season. But selling him in January doesn't really make any sense to them, as far as I'm concerned.
Would it not create a big problem for us if he did sign? Where would you place Son? Because I'd assume he'd play up top with Kane.
We might play with him, but we've seen rotation already under Conte. So, like, I don't think it's one of those good problems that you want to have. Like, none of I'd rather have that problem than sitting here worrying about Kane getting injured.
Correct.
Yeah, all about rotation. Absolutely.
Fiorentina is 7th, by the way.
Okay.
Just below Jose's, on the same points as Jose's Roma.
There are reasons for Fiorentina to keep him, and Gov's right. If he doesn't come in January, we won't get him. I think there were tweets today about he doesn't want Arsenal, but it's basically was it City, United, or us? You can see, and out of those three, which of those three is least likely to get him? It would be Tottenham, right? Yeah. It would be. So if Vlahovic wants to come to Spurs, then great, but it seems a bit of a pipe dream at any point. But if he came in January, then to me, it would be a good window.
There's a lot of this belief if we don't sign him in January, that we won't get him in the summer. I'm not so sure about that, to be honest. But
the thing is, United are going to need a striker.
I just don't think Fiorentina will want to sell him in January. I really don't. I really don't see it. And I think, my view on the January transfer window is expect a couple of ins and outs, but not much more. And I can't see one of those being Vlahovic. Personally, that's my view.
I mean, the only thing that changes it is if Newcastle comes in and blows the whole market with a massive offer for him.
Massive offer for Harry Winks, and then we've got the money to move on him. I see it, yeah.
but the offer doesn't matter if he doesn't want to go there, right? And for Vlahovic, it would be ridiculous to sign for Newcastle. Even if Newcastle stayed up, they would have to offer him 400, 500 grand a week, I think, for him even consider it. And even then, he'd probably be like, okay, but only for 3 years because I want a get out clause. right? I just, as much as Newcastle do have pots of money, I don't see them really fighting us for signings.
No, I agree. They're going to be looking at people like Kieran Trippier, who's got a year or two left in him, but could pull them out of the mess, and players of that sort of caliber and age.
Icardi. I could see Icardi at Newcastle. He'll take the money.
100%. It depends how bad they need the money. I don't know. I don't think Fiorentina did need the money, to be honest, but who knows?
They've just signed. They're signing the guy from Lille, aren't they?
They're signing his replacement, aren't they?
Icardi. Well, I mean, he's a very different type of striker, but they are signing a striker.
But a striker nonetheless.
Can I just issue a quick statement of retraction and apology? Nick Grimes is from Enfield and not Harlow. I'd like to apologise.
Does he text you?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I don't blame him. I am from Harlow. I'm relatively proud of it. But if I wasn't from Harlow, I could understand being upset that someone said I was from Harlow. It's
apologies.
Well, Nick Grimes, I'm also from Enfield originally, so there you go.
Oh, there you go. Ousmane Dembele. Let's talk about him. So, obviously, Barcelona hasn't signed a new deal. I think has he got a year left? HG, I think.
No, I think Dembele's out of contract in the summer.
So same deal as Lloris. We can approach him on a pre-contract deal.
Yeah, and some will give him lots of money, but I hope it's not Spurs.
Well, what? Okay, go on then. Quantify that.
Because he's always injured. He's a bit of a handful. He signed for Dortmund from Rennes, and then after a year was angling to get out. Really forced his move to Barcelona. At Barcelona, he's been mostly a handful rather than a talent. He's clearly got it. When I saw him, when I went to Barcelona,
Conte seems get more out of him.
No, I don't. I think Dembele plays. I think Dembele, yeah. He plays for himself, and I don't think he'd be interested in the club. I think it's all about what's best for him.
We look at Dembele though, don't we?
Well, we've had
Dembele.
Yeah, we've had one, but he's clearly a talent. Ousmane, he clearly is. He scored against us, didn't he, in the Champions League game at the Nou Camp? That was him. So
yeah,
he is a very good player. You don't play for Barcelona if you're not. But I don't. It'd be huge wages that we wouldn't really spend anyway. It's a no-go for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Romano did tweet last night that he is in advanced talks to extend his contract at Barca anyway.
Yeah, he should do.
I'd expect him to. It makes sense for Barca to retain his value.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. Because he is a very, very good player. I think HG's hitting the nail on the head. Off the pitch, he's been a bit of a pain in the arse and a bit attitudey, isn't he? Bit handbagsy.
Can you put Keith?
Go on.
Let's say, can you put Keith Browning's comment up? He's just put at the bottom there.
Yeah,
well, I can.
Nail on the head.
I can't promise we'll stick to it.
This one,
absolute nail on the head. Anybody, the number of players that get signed, and Ndombele obviously.
Yeah, but Lo Celso, I've just seen Lo Celso being brought up. I'm not sure Lo Celso had a particularly bad injury record before Spurs.
Does now.
Well, absolutely. You can't argue with it. He's been injured loads during his time.
But most of the time, it's on an international duty. I know he got injured in the warm down the other day.
I suppose my point is you can't necessarily predict how, if a player's going to get injured left, right, and centre. It's just unfortunate sometimes.
Can I ask a question? Why on earth would he need a warm down?
Right? Oh, well, I can
because
tell you that,
because the thing he probably warmed up at the start of the game, and then he sat on his arse for a couple of hours, so we'd have warmed down naturally anyway. Yeah. What purpose would it have been for him who sat on his bum?
I can tell you this.
Go on.
So the players who are on the bench have to complete the same amount of physical exercise as the players who played the 90 minutes so that their fitness level balances, and it's all the same for the squad. So the players who are benched have to do the same equivalent work that the players who've played 90 minutes do.
But wouldn't you be rotating and resting them? So why would you do that?
They have to, because otherwise their fitness level will drop.
I think the difference is, Dave, a player does 10, 11 Ks in a game, but those guys will just run it. They're not going to tackles and things like that.
Right.
I don't know if it is the full 10K, but they do some work after the game.
They do equivalent. They do.
Well, hang on, John. You've got the BTEC in sports science, so we should listen to you on this.
Yeah, but I've been on the stadium tour 3 times, and they've said the same thing to me 3 times.
Who said that? Sorry, who said the same thing to you 3 times?
All the tour guides at Tottenham.
So tour guides and sports science BTEC. That's that one sorted out.
I'll take tour guides. That's true. Honestly, they're at a level of fitness where honestly they have to keep the squad at the same level of fitness. It's a fact.
And Paul
Google
Muir,
it,
who's
Dave.
playing on Paul Muir's the personal trainer.
Yeah.
So he says,
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. So I bow down to all we have to say.
So Paul's agreeing with me.
Yeah, and John, and not HG, and not
shut,
me.
shut up, Dave.
I think the idea that the players who have sat on the bench are then going to go out and run 10K and have that doesn't seem right to me. That they'll do, and as Paul says, a certain amount of work. Fair enough, I can believe that, but they won't do the same as what the players have played 90 minutes. That just seems mad. They'd be there till midnight.
They're supposed to do equivalent, but anyway, there you go. Speaking of problems and attitude and issues, here's Dave. No, neither of those two. Martial is available from Man United. Now I'm going to be a little bit controversial here and say, would you take him, John?
No. Move on.
HG?
No.
Martial, no.
Dave?
I'd rather Davinson Sanchez signed a 10-year contract.
Let's say we don't get a striker in January and it's January the 31st and Martial is sitting there on loan. Then do you get him? Because I mean that is the only way it would be even feasible for Spurs, really. Let's be honest. But if that was the situation, would you rather go the rest of the season with just Kane and Son, or would you give Man United, 3 million for half a season? Because that's probably what they'd want.
Would that be the equivalent to getting Louis Zaha in on loan?
Not really, because we sold Pav and got Zaha to replace him. Which, let's face it, when it came to goals, he did.
That's my favourite comment so far. Wouldn't touch Martial with a 100-foot barge pole.
We just need a striker. Full stop. We just need a striker. It's so important.
So if it was Martial, you'd be all right then, Dave.
It's no one's first choice.
On loan.
On loan, you'd be all right. You'd be all right. You'd take him on loan.
If we get no one else, I'll take him on loan. Yeah, you just need someone.
Really?
You need a body.
So you're endorsing a Louis Zaha-esque signing?
No, I'm not, because that was ridiculous.
He's saying worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario, if we get him in on loan for the rest of the season, I can assure you, I will be moaning about it on the cheese room.
It was nice to see Hill have a run out at the weekend. Conte may decide to use Bergwijn and Hill as strikers. Can't see Hill being a striker, if I'm being really honest. But Bergwijn, could we live with that for the rest of the season?
No. And where's Hill going to play in the system? Seriously.
Well, the same as Son or Lucas. That he could rotate with them in that sort of not quite a winger, but not quite a striker role. He's basically Son's backup, isn't he? On the left.
Well, when he signed, he said he was a left winger. So I'm not quite sure how it's going to fit.
That's the thing with Bryan. You probably want to end because we're going a while. Like, Bryan's left-footed, and I don't think he looks comfortable on the right.
No.
Like, he's not like Mahrez. He's not like Bernardo Silva, who seem comfortable on that right-hand side. Bryan doesn't look that comfortable cutting in. I think he wants to go down the natural side. So, in the system that we have, he could easily be, one of the two attackers behind the main one. Maybe if we did play 3 in midfield with the central midfielders, he could train himself to be an 8, because obviously he's got the desire. I feel like he's got bigger. Maybe we just haven't seen him for such a long time. But watching him yesterday, he looked taller than I remembered. But yeah, like, he's obviously
mushroom. He grows in the dark.
He's skin and bone. There's not much of him. He's still only 20. He's not even 21 yet. But yeah, like, in the system currently, I don't know, if I'm honest. But I think that possibly over time he could develop into being someone that we would need. But he might be another candidate for some loan time, not in January, but maybe next summer. A lot will depend on what Conte wants to do. But he's clearly a talent, and he just needs minutes. And he
he'll be
hasn't
a
had,
good player. I've no doubt he'll be a very good player for us. He just needs time on the pitch.
yeah, and he hasn't had that really because of injuries. He played a few Conference League games with the rest of the nobodies under Nuno. He's been injured for most of the time under Conte. And if we're not in the Conference League, where are those games coming? Like, you're not going to use him in a League Cup semi-final against Chelsea, most likely. Certainly not to start with, you wouldn't have thought. So, yeah, like he might play the Morecambe game. If we get a nice, comfortable draw, he might play the next one. But even that's beginning of February, so that's one game a month. He needs more than that, really. So you almost want to see him play with the under-23s a bit more often, just to get some game time.
I mean, I think we need to sign a striker as a priority. I think you're absolutely right. John, who's coming in and who's going out then? Let's have your predictions for the transfer window, the three of you.
I think we'll see. It's interesting we talk about a couple out, couple in. I think if Rodon, who's probably the most likely to go out, potentially on loan, if he goes, we're going to need a centre-back, I think. No idea who we get. There's obviously somebody in Italy who might be lined up. We definitely need a striker. I've no idea who. Hopefully Vlahovic. But yeah, it's a good point. 3 times playing Chelsea and Arsenal. It's going to be a tough month. It'd be interesting to see which reserves we get to see in the Morecambe game caller.
I'll be excited. I'm in the hospitality for that, so can't wait.
Yeah, you can spit at me. I'm just below you.
I will. Don't worry.
Yeah. I think somebody mentioned Scarlett, but he seems to be out for a while. Flash score suggests he's ill, so I'm wondering if he's one of our COVID cases. But I think he needs to go on loan.
Yeah, he's only 17.
He needs to get out and go.
League One might be too big for him right now. Like, he needs senior football at any level, but no, I don't think we can look at him as playing any first team minutes for the rest of the season.
John, let's just wind it back. You're two in, you're two out. Who? Rodon out.
It's really difficult unless you know who's coming in, who makes the space. Lo Celso, maybe, if we can get rid of him into Spain.
That's a good shot. And in?
Oh, Vlahovic and Kessie. I don't know.
Beautiful. HG?
So I think Rodon needs to go. So Rodon will be one. I think Doherty.
Stop it. You're going to be upsetting Paul Muir now.
No,
see him raging.
Obviously, I'm not as high on him as some others are, but Rodon really hasn't had a chance for Spurs. That is true. And he needs to play football for his own career at being 24. So if Rodon goes, it might be loan with an option to buy or something like that. But Rodon will go. I think Doherty will go. I think we'll find someone to play that role. And then, it's kind of, if you had to keep one between Lo Celso and Ndombele, which would it be? That's a good question, because I think only one of them really has a future at Spurs under Conte. But yeah, the ones to leave to me are Rodon and Doherty, and outside of that, yeah, I'm not sure anyone is really angling for a move. If someone comes in for a big offer on Sanchez, I think we take it. I do. But I just think that the two that look most likely to go are Rodon and Doherty.
And
well, I saw someone in the comments earlier on talked about, apparently we're in contact with Stefan de Vrij, is a centre-back, obviously plays at Inter, so Conte knows him really well. I think de Vrij is out of contract in the summer, so that one could happen. Absolutely, it could happen. And he's 30, he's experienced, he's not one for the future, but he'll come in and be a starter. I've no doubt about that. So de Vrij could be one. For the right wing back, that's a good question. That really is a good question, because right back is one of those things that we've been looking for a long time. We bought Emerson, he's done okay, but clearly I don't think Conte is massively convinced. He's just the best option we have. Yeah, who are we going to go for? I don't know. I really don't. When it comes to wing backs, I don't know.
Okay, Dave.
I want to see de Vrij in and Vlahovic in as my dream.
Yeah.
I'd like Lo Celso or Dele can go out on loan, and Sanchez can go. But the risk with Lo Celso, he could get injured going to the airport and the whole deal will be off. So that's an issue. So that's what I'd like to see.
Well, I would like to see Winks gone.
You do surprise me.
Who knew? And we'll say Joe Roden, just because he hasn't had a fair chance, I think he needs a loan. I wouldn't sell him, I'd loan him. And then in Vlahovic and Kessie, same as you, John, really. Either or, really. I think we need another midfielder. Look, thanks, everybody, tonight for joining us. We appreciate it. We appreciate your super chats, your chat, your comments, your messages. Please do make sure you hit that subscribe button. Really important to us. Hit the like and hit the subscribe button. And do check out our other products. The podcast is up now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We have a Patreon service, which is really good to get involved with. It's just £3 a month. Hit the ticker for the details on that. And, absolutely become a YouTube channel member. Many of people in the chat gives you some perks. And it's just another way to support the Cheese Room podcast. Thanks, John, for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Great. One thing you forgot, we're back on Thursday, aren't we, this week?
We are back on Thursday, indeed, not Friday, because John's got a rave to go to. HG, thanks for joining us.
It was always a pleasure.
And Dave, again, I'd like to say it's a pleasure, but you're here. Thanks for joining us.
You're having a second child in January, aren't you?
Yes.
And that's the second child. So in the January show, we'll be dedicating the show for your babies.
That's
a Simply Red song. Is a Simply Red song.
Yes. Oh, God. And check out Dave's playlist coming soon. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.